Hi everyone, my name is Bonnie and I am currently working as a legal intern for the Maryland Volunteer Lawyer Service. And I'm going to talk a little bit about estate planning and specifically talk a little bit about life estate deeds. So estate planning is essentially a way for people to avoid probate, which is the process of validating and distributing the contents of someone's will. If someone passes without a will, then the courts will simply distribute their assets according to the law, which is still considered probate. The probate process can be very costly with several fees popping up along the way, and it can take a very long time depending on your state's particular process. And many people don't have the time or the money or other resources like childcare and transportation or the internet that they need to complete the probate process. And that is where the benefits of estate planning come in. A person can create certain documents during their life to indicate where or to whom certain assets will go when they pass without having to put those assets through probate. So some forms of estate planning include designating beneficiaries on financial accounts, creating living trusts, and creating life estate deeds. For many of MVLS's clients, their house tends to be the only major asset that they have or that their deceased loved one had. And there are several downsides to not having a plan in place for one's house before they pass. For example, without proper estate planning, the deed to a person's home will not automatically transfer into another person's name. So say an adult child moved in with their older parent to take care of them and their parent passes away. The deed is going to remain in their parent's name until the house goes through probate, which again can take a very long time. And during that period of time, when the child's name is not on the deed, they may not be eligible for housing assistance programs, many of which require the client's name to be on the deed. They won't have the legal right to transfer the house, such as like selling it. And they also won't be able to claim the house for tax credit purposes. So the list goes on, but overall, not having your name on the deed of the house that you live in can create some serious problems. And another issue that may come up is Medicaid estate recovery. So if the older parent received Medicaid assistance to pay for long-term nursing care before they passed away, Medicaid will try to recoup those costs after that person's death by coming after their assets. And if their name is still on the deed of that house is still their asset. And the same problem can arise with just general debt collection too. So say the deceased person had a large amount of credit card debt before they passed away, creditors will come after the house to collect on that debt as well. So one solution to these problems is to create a life estate deed. And a life estate deed is an agreement that someone makes during their life that says that upon their death, and they are considered the life estate holder, their house and their deed will be transferred to another person or people, and they are known as the remaindermen. And there are several benefits to this. The house is not going to go through probate, and the deed will be transferred into the remainderman's name immediately. So right off the bat, the remainderman, they have the power as the owner to transfer or sell the house, to claim the property for tax credits, and to receive housing assistance if they're eligible. Also, the immediate transfer gives the remainderman the right to live in the house right then and there. And that is particularly important for people who lived with the deceased person before they passed away and now have no other housing options available to them. This gives them the legal right to stay in the home. Also, the process of drawing up a life estate deed is just much simpler, quicker, and easier than the probate process. And finally, for life estate deeds that are created at least 5 years before the owner starts receiving Medicaid payments for long-term care, the house will not be included as an asset of that older person when determining their eligibility for Medicaid. So this can mean the difference between not getting Medicaid assistance if you do have that asset and receiving Medicaid assistance because that asset is not included. So there are several benefits to life estate deeds, but it is also important to be aware of some of the drawbacks of life estate deeds. So they do create a form of joint ownership, which means that the home will be subject to debt collection, divorce settlements, and any other legal or financial issues involving either the owner or any of the remaindermen. Also, the remainderman cannot be changed after the life estate holder has passed away. So whoever was on the deed before their death, it can't be changed afterwards. Furthermore, if the life estate deed is something called without powers, then the life estate holder has to get the permission of all remaindermen on the deed before they can transfer or alter the property. And the flip side is also creates a bit of a problem, because you can make the deed with powers, meaning the life estate holder does not have to get that permission from the remaindermen before making those changes. But then that puts the remaindermen in this position where they don't really have a say in what happens to this property that they are set to inherit. And finally, you do have to wait at least 5 years from the date that the deed was created before the life estate holder can start receiving Medicaid assistance for long-term care. So planning ahead is very important. So overall, I've learned that estate planning is super important. It can mean the difference between having a place to live and not having a place to live for many people. And it can also help prevent a lot of different types of financial hardship. So that is all that I have for you on estate planning. And I hope that you've learned something new about life estate deeds. And thank you for listening.